So let me now go to the web page assignment. Let's see. So the simple web page design here, you know, these are all the historical moments that you can pick from. So just pick one. You know, you'll have to do some research on the image, you know, what image should go there. I didn't put, there's no images in here. And then, I mean, the process is just going up into this boilerplate code here, going into index.html. And I know a lot of you have done this already, but then you just have to download it. So here it is downloaded. And then I will go into my downloads folder right here. So if you double click on it, it's going to open up into the web page. So you just don't want to double click on it. What you want to do is right click, and I'm on a Mac. So on a Mac, I have open with. On a PC, I think it's somewhat the same. It's there's going to be an open with, but I think Jolene, the open with that you're looking for on a PC, it's down here somewhere. Okay. So when you right click, it's down below.
Oh, okay.
So you probably just have to go further down to find it. But when I go to open with, on a Mac, I do have these options. I want you to use the text editor option just so you get used to the way websites were designed. You know, I think you're looking at over 20 years ago, right? So when the web...
Is this a you suffered, so now we must suffer type thing?
Kind of a little bit, because, you know, the HTML is not that difficult. And even when we get into CSS, it's not that difficult. The biggest problem you're going to come across when you're doing any type of coding, not even in this class or in general, are just like silly little mistakes that you forget maybe to add a character at the end of a line. And that's it. And you're wondering, you know, why is this not working? You know, and it's something simple. So when you use a text editor, the text editor is just a very bare bones way to create that website. You know, if you look here with this open with, I have brackets, I have Atom. These are called IDEs. These are integrated developer environments. And what that means is that these are pretty much glorified text editors, but they have all these features that will help you. So they will find errors. They will, you know, if you have an error in brackets, it's going to show up as a red character, let's say. Something's missing and everything, it's red. So, oh, I know there's something wrong here. But the text editor isn't going to show you anything. So it's really up to you to pay attention and to figure out where that issue is occurring. Now, if I open this up, here it is right here. And let me make it bigger. So I'm just hitting Command plus. So this is the code, and this is what, you know, we call boilerplate, meaning it's the most basic, essential code that you need for your website. That's not actually true, because if I didn't include the doc type, if I didn't include this language, this is called, this word, lang stands for language, and it's an attribute of HTML. If I didn't include that, it would still work. Like this would still work. But these items here, the doc type and the language, are always recommended. So that's why it's part of the boilerplate HTML code you see here. So basically for every assignment, if you copy and paste this as the very first thing you do, then you already have the web page started. And that's the first start. Now for this assignment, I'm just asking for 3 paragraphs, I think 1 header, actually 3 headers and 1 image. I already have 1 paragraph here with the P tag. You know, you can copy and paste it, but if I want to create another P tag, it's just a matter of typing this less than symbol. So that's, you know, shift, comma on your keyboard, the letter P, the greater than symbol, which is, you know, shift period. And then you add your text. You know, this is the second paragraph. And then you have to close the tag. So there's the beginning tag, which is this first P, and then there's an end tag, which is the same thing, except there's a / after that less than symbol. So you close it out. So then I close it out with less than symbol, / P, and then, the greater than symbol, and that's it. And then I'm gonna hit save. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Chrome here. Bring up a new web browser window. So I'm using Chrome, but it doesn't matter what you use. So here's Chrome. And then a good work habit to get into is to have your code on one side, your web browser on the other side. And then when I'm in my web browser, I'm just gonna do a command open. And I'm going to find this index page that I changed. It's still in my downloads folder here. And I believe, actually, let me rename it. So let me do a save as, or I'm gonna do, I'm gonna rename it. So I'll just call it index2. Get rid of those parentheses. Let's see. Okay, now it's called index2. And I'm gonna open that up again. So go into downloads. Go to open there. And now you see this is the second paragraph, from that P tag right there. So what you can do now is if you have the two windows side by side, I'll create a header here. So, your header tags are H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. So I'm going to create a header tag. So it's the less than symbol, H1, and I'll say this is header, less than symbol, / H1, close it out with the greater than symbol, hit save, and then I'll go back into my browser and refresh, and there you have the header. So if you have the two side by side, on your code side, you're adding new code, you're hitting save, and then on your browser side, you're refreshing, and then you can see the code. And that's kind of the interactive process for you to know that the code's working, right? So does everybody understand that process? And I recommend that you do it like this. Now, if you're using, after we use this text editor, this is the only time we're ever going to use the text editor. Like somebody said, it's like, I want you to feel my pain, right? But this really forces you to pay attention to what you're doing. If I'm creating another P tag, let's say, let's say I forget to close off that P tag, and this is another paragraph, and then I close it properly, I hit save, and then I go to my web page and I refresh, nothing happened because I made a mistake. And what was the mistake that I made?
You have a capital P.
You didn't close the P.
I didn't close out this tag over here, right? Close it out. I hit save, Command S, I refresh, and now I see it. So those are the things that are going to frustrate you. But they're very simple things. As you get used to things going forth, it's just easy enough to copy and paste that. So I have a second P tag there, and then refresh it, and then it's all set.
So do you put the image within the P also?
So that's a good question. So the image is going to go inside what's called an image tag. So the image tag starts with that less than symbol, and then it's IMG, and then you have an attribute called SRC, which stands for source, and then an equal sign, and then you have your quotes. So the image goes in between these quotes here, and then you close it out with your greater than symbol. And what I'm asking for the image is to find an image that works. So let's say, I'm researching Sputnik. Sputnik is what my site's about. We'll go into images, and there's all these images of Sputnik. So I want Sputnik to be one of my images here. So when you find an image you like, you can right-click on that, and you can then go to copy image address. So on Windows, it'll be the same thing if you're using Chrome. If you're using Edge, it might be a little different. But you find copy image address. Now, this is going to give me a very long address because I'm pulling it from Google search. It would be shorter if I went straight to the web page where that image is located. But you want to just go down into your quotes here and then paste that address. See how long that is? It's pretty crazy because I'm pulling it from, it's like very long. But if I save it and then I go back to the page here and I refresh, there's my picture, right? Now, this is crazy because it's pulling like all this data from Google, pulling a lot of unnecessary data. So I'm going to undo it. And text editor is weird. Yeah, let me see. Let me actually delete it. So I'm going to delete all of this. So you can paste the image source from Google if you want to. I have no idea. Does anybody know why you have all this information for this Google lookup? Kind of, there's a lot of stuff there. So I'm going to delete all of this. I'll make this larger too. So for the image tag, this is all you need. You need to have this code right here. Now I'm going to go back to my Google search. If you don't want a really long image source, click on the image and then go to view image. No, don't go to actually. Go to the first link here. This is where the image is located. So it's on this site called history.com. If you go to the site where the image is actually being hosted on versus going to the Google image search, when I right click and go to actually that's hold on one second. I'm going to click on, this is a kind of a bad example because this is actually a video. Let me click on. So this is an image of Janis Joplin. So this is an actual picture. The other file above was a video. So I'm going to right click on this, go to copy link address, go back to image source in between those quotes, paste it, and see how much shorter it is. So if you go to the source where the image is found versus going to that Google image search, you're going to get a shorter image in terms of the length of text that goes in there. So go to the source, do the image search and go to the source of where that image is. But what I have here is this H1, the P tags, the image tag, and the only other thing I asked for was a subheader, so you can use an H2. So that's the less than symbol, H2, close it out, and this is a subheader. And then just make sure you have the closing tag, and that's it. And hit save. and it didn't like this image for some reason. But anyways, this is everything that you would need for this site. I'll have to see why this image is not working. Let's see. Yeah,
It seems like it's because it's a banner.
yeah, it's not actually an image. That's the thing. Let me go back to the Sputnik example. It's pulling the actual. It's pulling like a website into that. So let me find like another example with Sputnik. Okay, so here's an actual image. Copy that address. Paste that in there. So here I can see that it has a file format associated with it of JPEG. So I know that's going to work. So let me go back here. So that works. So it's a big image, but it's there. So that's it. I mean, that's the whole web page right there. That's everything that you need in this code. So H1 tag, P tag, H2 tag, 3 P tags for each paragraph, and an image. So is there any questions about any of this right here?
So what exactly do you want us to put in the P's? Like, do you want us to directly quote from a source, or do you want us to plagiarize Wikipedia? What do you want us to do for the history of the internet part?
Yeah, it's just anything about that bit of history. So here, I mean, I'm not like promoting plagiarizing in any way. So you can come up with something based off of what you saw. You know, so I think what I did with mine was, you know, I said something like, you know, Sputnik was a catalyst, you know, for the internet. I mean, I kept mine pretty simple in my video that I showed you guys. The next thing I said was something like, it took America by surprise. Right? So I'm pulling this from memory. So I wouldn't necessarily just copy and paste. See if you can, you know, reinterpret whatever you find into your own language, let's say. Right? That should be pretty easy. Just keep it simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. I just want you to get used to these very first tags and just the act of creating a web page itself using a text editor.
Okay, and so it's basically just like one sentence per paragraph, or P tag.
Yeah,
Rather.
I mean, technically, right, you can have a one-sentence paragraph, so that's fine. So I'm not telling you to give me a huge report, you know. I mean, I'm trying to do two things with this assignment. I'm trying to have you go through the history a little bit to get familiar with it, you know, but at the same time, I want you to start getting a feel for HTML and using HTML. So that's kind of like a dual purpose. And I think the history is interesting personally, but I don't want to get you too caught up in the history. You know, we'll learn more going forth as I talk about it, but you know, there is to me, all of this is very interesting, but I don't want it. That's not the sole purpose of this. It's really the focus on getting used to the code and then getting used to the design aspect of, you know, just developing and designing and what's the process for doing that. So, you know, this is kind of just like a warm-up exercise with the code itself. So any other questions then about this?
Oh, there you go. Go ahead.
Can you remind us again where we can find the download part of the index on Canvas?
Oh, sure. So when you go into Canvas, let's see. You go back into the course. So when, I'll do this as a student. So I'll go into student view. So you're seeing exactly, this is how you're going to see it. So after you go through an intro to HTML and you go through these pages here, you'll get the boilerplate, and this is just telling you what boilerplate is. Hit next, and then you have this index.html here with this download link, and just click on this link right here. So that's it right there. So if I go back into home, actually that should say the boilerplate code is below. So that's the code you'll use. And if you go into here, actually, I could put the link in there to make it easier for you. So that's something I can do, is to add the actual link here as well. But you can pull it from right here where it says index.html. And this is, you know, when you see this right here, index.html, try to make it a habit whenever you're designing that first web page, always call it index.html. That's always going to be your home page. So that's why this is named what it is, because it is the very first page that you'll see, that the server sees. It's always going to be index.html. So it's good to get into that habit. You know, sometimes people will call it assignment 1. You know, they'll call it page 1. Always, you know, when you work on these projects, just call the project index.html. Right? So when you hand in the project, your code, you're going to make sure you save it, and then you're just going to copy and paste that code into the submit. You know, when you hit submit, there'll be a text window. You can copy and paste your code right into that window. So that's the procedure. Any other questions?
So you're saying that we should name our project index.html?
Yes. Yes. So it's a good habit to get into. If you, and you'll understand why once we start to, we're actually going to upload our website to a server. And if it's not called index.html, the server's not going to find it. So the web server is always looking for this very first site that everything is connected to, and that site is always called index.html. Now, when you, you know, we'll talk about this later on, but when you have a specific name for a website, that's when you go and you purchase a domain name, and then you associate that domain name with index.html. And that's what you see when you actually type in your browser that site, but on the server itself is a page called index.html. So it's just a good habit to get into.
Another question. So then how do you copy the code? You just, when you're in index, in Notepad, you just highlight the whole code that we have and put it into?
Yeah, so like if I want to, you know, when you open this up, you want to open it in Notepad or text edit. And if you can use Control-C, highlight it, and then Control-V to paste. So on a Mac, Command-C, Command-V. On a PC, it's Control-C, Control-V. So you're just cutting and pasting. If you want to copy all of it, you can do that too. And then paste it into another text edit window. I'm not recommending you do that for this assignment. Just stay within text edit as is, and then you'll be fine.
So you're telling us, so we copy this whole thing and put it into our tab and then put submit?
Yeah, so when you want to submit this,
Uh-huh.
you can copy this, and then I'll go into the assignment, and then click on submit, and see where it says text entry. You can paste it right here, just like that. So
Okay.
I copied everything, and I just pasted it right in this window. And then I want you to take a screenshot and then send that as well. So this is a habit to get into as well, because this is how we'll submit a lot of our assignments. We'll copy the code and we'll paste that code into this text entry. And then I want to see what it looks like. So what you can do on a Mac is, here's my Sputnik webpage, and I'll make it smaller. So here's the Sputnik webpage. I'll make it smaller. Yes. And then what you can do on a Mac is you can do a Shift Command 4 and do a screen grab, just like that. And then it saves it to the desktop. Usually it saves it to the desktop. And then I can go back into that assignment, and then for the file upload, I can say choose file. And then if I go to my desktop, there's that screenshot. And I would recommend you renaming the screenshot, and then you can call the screenshot assignment 2. So you can rename the screenshot. My wife just came in and put some laundry in the dryer. So hold on. Hold on 1 second. That's loud. So yeah, once you have that there, then you can, it's there, and then you submit it. So you have the 2 parts, and you'll see confetti fly down from the screen to say that you were successful. So, so there's 2 parts to it. It's the text that represents the code, and then a screenshot, an image of the site itself. So is everybody good with that?
Thank you.
So yeah, you're welcome. And then for other assignments, it'll be the same way. I'll just have you copy and paste the code, and then do a screenshot, and then you can send it like that. Some assignments may be a little different. So are there any other questions about this assignment 1C? And if you have more questions, just enter them in the Discord, and I'll usually answer them right away. So here it's almost pretty basic. Copy, paste, and just follow that boilerplate code template.